Hey Philharmonic trumpets, we are moving on to the Slavonic dance, the Dvorak. Whether you're first or second trumpet, feel free to watch this helpful tips video right now. I'm just going to go through a few things. It'd be helpful for you to have a pencil out so you can mark your music as we go. The first thing I wanted to address, and Ms. Harton has done this a number of times, but I think it would be wise for you to circle your repeat signs. Sometimes I like to highlight my repeat signs because they're everywhere. If you look, this first line is repeated. 9 to 17, repeated. 17 to 24 is repeated. 25 to 33 is repeated. 33 to 41 is repeated. Then we have a little break from repeats. And then 65 to 73 is repeated. All right, so lots of repeats, especially at the beginning. You definitely don't want to miss one of those at the beginning, as you'll be obviously about 8 measures off the whole time. So circle those, highlight them, whatever you need to do. After that, one more little roadmap thing to be aware of. When we see DC all coda, DC means da capo, which means the head. So we always go back to the beginning, DC. And then we go to this little sign here that says to coda. So we're actually going to play the beginning to 103 again. And then when we see this to coda, we're going to boogie down here to the coda. All right. A couple other small things to be aware of while you're practicing and in rehearsal. We have a key change right here at 84. So let's talk about the key signature of this piece first. Here. So at the beginning we have 1 sharp. Ooh, that's nice and friendly, right? If we have 1 sharp, it's our F sharp. All right. We all know our F sharp by now. But when we get to 4 sharps, that is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. All right. I would encourage you, once you get to 84 and you're practicing and you're working on this section, I would encourage you to come back to this video, find this concert D, it's your E major scale, but concert D scale, and play this a couple times. So you can pause the video, practice with these F sharps, G sharps, C sharps, and D sharps. Okay, and you can always refer to these fingerings up here. All right. Circle that key signature, maybe even mark your very first G sharp trumpet ones and your very first D sharp trumpet ones. Let's see, where do those occur in the trumpet 2 part? Trumpet 2, I would mark your very first, you have a D sharp somewhere, I know. Right here, D sharp. Mark this D sharp. Here's another C sharp. Okay, I'm not sure if you have, yeah, G sharp's right up in here, right? So maybe mark those changes. It's always a little tricky to catch that key signature. So mark the first of each one. That's a good strategy. All right. After the key signature, one other just small thing related to this section here. We talked about this in rehearsal, muted. Since we have bell covers on, we don't know if we can actually use our normal straight mutes. So for right now, I would encourage you during rehearsal and in your practice to play into your stand. It'll have a kind of a tinny, muffled sound, which is what we kind of want for a muted sound. So let's do that for now. If you have a straight mute, maybe you could bring it to rehearsal just in case we're able to use them, but I have a feeling we'll be playing into our stands. Before we talk about one musical thing, I just want to remind you, and trumpet 2, you have a lot of these. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the trumpet 2 music. Lots of C sharps, okay, C sharps. You have some Ds up here, and hopefully you remember on our Ds, every single D, a low D, we're going to kick out that third valve slide about 1/2 inch. Then on our low C sharps, which you have down here, we're going to kick it out like 1 inch because we want those Ds and C sharps to be in tune and not really sharp. All right. The last thing, and I want you to work on this while you play along with me, whether you're playing trumpet 1 or trumpet 2, there's a lot of dynamics and a lot of articulations in this piece. So really quickly, I think you probably know your dynamics. Basically, Fs are louds. If you have 2 Fs, that's really quite loud. Ps are softs, and these crescendos and decrescendos, you probably know what they mean. But they're not just there for you to look at. Really try to bring them out, okay? Then lastly, as far as a musical thing before we get into playing it, bring out these staccatos, really nice and light and crisp, lots of space between those notes. Later on in the piece, you have some accents. Put a lot more weight onto those notes. Use a little bit of a firmer tongue to put the weight onto that note. And I think those are the two big articulations that we have in this one. So hopefully as you play along with me, you hear those different articulations and those different dynamics. Really try to exaggerate them in your practice, especially since this piece isn't too note or rhythmically challenging. All right, happy practicing and feel free to play along with my next video. All right, this is Slavonic Dance for first trumpet play along. We're going to do all the repeats and the DC all coda. I apologize if on the DC I have to scroll up really quickly, but I'll get us back up there. All right, play along with me, please. We're going to go pretty quick since that's how Miss Harton takes the tempo nice and fast. Ta, ta, ta. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. All right, measure 9 to 17, we are resting, and there's a repeat here, so you actually have 16 measures of rest. 16 measures of rest. Let's start right at measure 17 again. I'll give you 2 measures and then we're in. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. One, two, three, two. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. Awesome. All right. We have quite a long rest here, and during our rest, we have a key change. Take note of the 4 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp here. I'm going to put a mute in just so if you haven't heard a mute before, which I think you all probably had, you can get a little flavor for it. But again, in rehearsal, we're probably going to just play into our stands. All right. Starting at 103, 4 sharps in the key. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. DC all coda. We're going back to the beginning. Miss Harton did say she wasn't sure if the repeats would happen on the coda, but let's play with repeats on the way back to the coda. All right, here we go. Back at the beginning after 7 measures of rest. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. I messed that up. Back at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. 8 measures of rest, repeated. We won't count through all of that. Let's go to measure 17. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. One, two, three, two. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2. All right, we were right here before 84. Now we count lots of measures of rest, and look at it says to coda. So we're going to boogie our eyes down here to the coda. We have 7 measures of rest. This is where Miss Harton goes really fast. Ta, 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 ta. Really nice and quick. Let's try it here at the presto. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. There it is. Awesome. That is the Trumpet 1 play along video, and I'll do Trumpet 2 coming up. All right, this is Slavonic Dance for Trumpet 2. Just like Trumpet 1, we are going to go ahead and do all the repeats for good practice. We are also going to take the DC all coda. Starting at the very, very beginning, check out your key signature, check out your accidentals coming up here, those G sharps, and let's go for it. Nice quick tempo since Miss Harton goes nice and fast. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. Measure 9, we have 8 measures of rest. Also note that we do measure 9 2 times, so you actually have 16 measures of rest. Here we are at measure 17. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. 41. We have 8 measures of rest. We'll hit 49, another 8 measures of rest. Here's 57. 57 is here, starting soft. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. This 7 measures of rest. We have lots of rest here. At 84, we change our key signature, 4 sharps, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. So watch out for this G sharp here. Watch out for, you have some D sharps, C sharps. I'm going to go ahead and put a mute in at 103 just so you get a taste for what it sounds like or what it might sound like. But again, I would encourage you to just play into your stand during rehearsals, during your practicing to get that tinny muted sound. Here we go, 103. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. Resting back to the beginning, DC all coda. DC means back to the beginning. So here we go, right at the beginning, after just 7 measures of rest. Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. Again, 9 to 17, 2 times. Here we are at 17. Start fortissimo. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. All right, 41. 41. 16 measures of rest here. 57 is where we're going to start. Let's not miss that coda jump here coming up. Here we go, 57. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. We have 7 measures of rest, a key change, 9 measures of rest, 10 measures of rest. We are jumping down to this coda where we have another 6 measures of rest, 7 measures of rest technically. Those are clarinet cues. Here we go on the presto, and hopefully you remember Miss Harton takes this nice and quick. Ta, 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 ta. Here we go, right on the presto. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready. Awesome, there it is. Good luck practicing this one over and over. Feel free to play along as many times as you need.